Let me just give you guys some examples of how Elon Musk, that South African scammer, is engaging in fraud, waste, and abuse under the guise of DOGE and then falsely accusing other people of fraud, waste, and abuse so he can get away with his sneaky stuff, okay? So we know that Valentine's Day weekend, tens of thousands of probationary employees in the federal government were illegally terminated, and then they filed a lawsuit. And now they have won a temporary restraining order, which is forcing the federal government to reinstate them because of a judge's order that came down on Friday. So as y'all know, my husband was one of those people. He had been a budget analyst at the FDA for over a year, but because he came in under the accepted service, he had a 2-year probation instead of 1. But he also had a very high performance rating. Something else interesting is that he was paid by user fees at the FDA, not by taxpayer dollars. Firing him saved no taxpayer dollars. As a matter of fact, firing him cost more money, okay, because they had to use taxpayer dollars to then fight the lawsuit that he was a part of. But he's now been reinstated, okay? And the other way that it's been wasteful is that he was put on paid administrative leave up until Friday. So he essentially got a month's free paid vacation. And this is just one person. Tens of thousands of federal employees got this. Instead of letting them go to work and do their job and serve the American people, they got a paid vacation. And they're still on paid vacation because they are now on paid administrative leave as they try to fix the mess and reissue things like PIV cards and equipment and get them back in the system, okay? Just wasting money everywhere. So then we know that today there was a return to office order for a bunch of federal employees. Now, I'm going to focus on the FDA because that's what I know. Let me tell you guys, they had people in lines to go through security for like an hour and a half. Like some people had to wait in line for an hour and a half, okay? Because these buildings aren't made to hold a bunch of these employees. As a matter of fact, the Telework Enhancement Act was passed in 2010, and it had bipartisan support, meaning a Republican sponsored that bill, okay, co-sponsored it, because Republicans back then had common sense, and they knew, oh, we want to save money. So they were like, why are we buying all this office space in these buildings when we can have a bunch of people just like work from home at least half the time so we can save a bunch of money, okay? So that's what they did. And they don't have enough space for them. Because again, that law was passed in 2010. It is 2025. Telework was not something that was implemented brand new because of COVID. This is something the federal government has been doing a long time because, again, Republicans knew that it was going to save them a bunch of money if they did this, okay? So they sent a bunch of people back to work, wasted everybody's time. Like, these people are not working during this time. They're trying to find parking. There wasn't enough parking. They were parking on the grass, couldn't get through security. And then in the office where I work, we had to dig through piles of old equipment to find wires. I spent like hours trying to find an HDMI cord just to plug it into a monitor. So again, fraud, waste, and abuse that DOGE is pushing and trying to get away with it.